Okay, fifth grade, welcome back. So today we are going to look at division. So you did some practice last week with one-digit divisor and then four-digit dividends. So we're going to look at some notes for today. So if you're writing in your notebook, we're going to write division for today. Okay. So here, if you want to write your notes, you can write your notes. This right here is like a visual, so you can see what the different terms are whenever we're looking at division. So the number that's considered outside, we call that the divisor. The number inside is our dividend, and the number on top, that is our answer or our quotient. Okay, so we're going to look at this one as an example. So we have 6,839, and we're going to divide that by 7. Okay, so when we wrote it down here, again, 7 is our divisor, 6,839 is our dividend. So we want to know what our quotient is for the answer. So when we're looking at division, what we're asking is how many groups of 7 are in the number 6,839. So that's what we're doing. So, I don't know if I'm going to have enough room here. So we're going to look here. So we're going to ask ourselves how many groups of 7 are in 6, right? So since we can't do that because 7 is greater than 6, I'm going to look at the next digit. So I'm asking myself how many groups of 7 are in the number 68. So I'm looking at this right here. So this is where I need to make sure that I understand or that I know my math facts. So 7 times what number, and I always like to put a little multiplication here because that's kind of what I'm doing. 7 times what number equals either 68 or close to 68 without going over. So I know that 7 times 9, now notice I put my 9 directly above my 8. And the reason why is I'm asking myself how many groups of 7 are in 68. If I put my 9 here, then it looks like I'm saying that there are 9 groups of 7 inside of 6, and that's not true. So I'm putting my 9 here right above my 8 to include 68. So I know that 7 times 9 is 63. So I'm going to subtract. I'm not going to have room here. I'm going to have to figure that out. I'm going to subtract. 8 minus 3 is 5, and then 6 minus 6 is 0, so I'm just going to leave that there. Then I'm going to bring down my 3. Then I'm going to ask myself how many groups of 7 are in 53. So I'm going to get a piece of paper and cover that. So how many groups of 7 are in the number 53? So what number is close to 53 when I multiply 7 times? So I know that 7 times 7 is 49. Okay, so 7 times 7 is 49. It's close to 53 without going over. So I'm going to subtract. Okay, now I'm going to say 3 minus 9. Now remember, I can't do that. So I'm going to take a 10 from here and bring it over here. So now I have 13 minus 9. So whenever I subtract that, I get 4. 4 minus 4 is 0, so I'm going to leave that alone. Now I'm going to look at my next digit here. That is 9. So I'm going to ask myself again, how many groups of 7 are in 49? Well, I already know I did that earlier. 7 times 7 is 49. I subtract and I get 0. 7 goes there. So when I'm dividing, my goal is to get 0. And I did that. So if I have a remainder, later on, I'm gonna write like remainder, like I'm gonna write R, and then whatever my remainder is, if I have one. And then later on, we're gonna learn that we can keep going with decimals, but we'll learn that later. So I know that my quotient is 977. Okay, so that was just a review. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do an example together, and we're going to see what we're going to be doing as far as fifth grade is. So I'm going to just flip over here. Okay, so I have 893, and I'm going to divide that by, I believe it's 17. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do for my example today. So what we're going to do is now as fifth graders, instead of having that one digit divisor right up here, we now have two digits. Okay, so we're going to be asking ourselves here, right, just like we did on the top one, how many groups of 17 are in 8? Well, I can't do that because 17 is greater than 8. So I'm going to look at both of these numbers here. So I'm asking how many groups of 17 are in 89. Now remember, this really isn't 89. It's actually 890. But it makes it a little bit easier when we just look at those two digits there. So what can I do? What can I multiply 7 by that's going to get me close to 89? So there's a couple of ways we can do this. We can use estimation, and we can just guess and check. So if I use estimation, if I want to round this to 20, about how many groups of 20 are in 89? So if I wanted to round 89 up, I can round it to the nearest 100, which would be 100. So how many groups of 20 are in 100? It's about 5. So I'm going to check. So I'm going to do 17 times 5. So when I do 17 times 5, 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 3 is 85. So when I estimate, I got pretty close, right? So 17 times 5 is 85. It's close to 89 without going over. I'm going to subtract. I have 4, and I'm going to bring down this 3 here. Okay, so I can do the same thing that I did there. I can estimate again about how many groups of 17 are in 43. So if I want to estimate, or if I want to round 17 back to 20, I can do that. And then if I estimate around 43, it's about 40. So how many groups of 20 are in 40? There are about 2. So I'm going to double check. 17 times 2, when I multiply that, 7 times 2 is 14. Let me move this up. 7 times 2 is 14. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Now, here, if I did another group of 17, would I go over 43? I would. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep it at 34. So 17 times 2 equals 34. And I'm going to subtract. 3 minus 4, I cannot do that. So I'm going to regroup. So now I have 13 minus 4. So when I do that, what do I get? I get 9. Okay, so I can't have 17. 17 does not fit in 9, so I can't do that because that number is too big, and this one is smaller. So this is called a remainder, with a remainder of 9. So my quotient is 52 with a remainder of 9. Okay, so that is what we're going to be doing today. Now, sometimes you won't have a remainder, sometimes it'll go in evenly, but if you have a remainder, this is what you're going to do for now. Okay, so for today, you're going to practice. You are going to use the same algorithm. So this is what I did today for the example. You're going to look at this one here. Make it bigger. And the same thing. How many groups of 4 are in 6? And you're going to fill these out. You're going to fill those out. You can edit those. And you're going to fill these out according to what you get there. So you're going to do that on this side. And this one showing it might have a remainder. And then you're going to do it again for this one. How many groups of 89 are in 19? I probably can't do that, so now I need to look at 198. So that's what you're going to do today.